Hey everybody, it's Dr. Amy Myers here on Thursday afternoon, Central Standard Time, 3 o'clock. Welcoming you all to today. I am going to be talking about sleep, stress, and the thyroid. And boy, do I have some stuff to share about that because I was under an enormous amount of stress as I was writing the Thyroid Connection. But the big news is only 5 days to go. Hi, Janie Garcia. That's Javier's mom and my mother-in-law. So happy you're here. Only 5 days until the Thyroid Connection is released. So it will be released on Tuesday morning on the 27th of September, and I tell you what, my staff and I just cannot wait. This has been a journey. Somebody actually was talking to my agent, my book agent yesterday, and she was saying the second book is always harder than the first book because the first book is, you know, new and everybody's so excited and willing to help out because you're the underdog, and then you receive success and it's just that much harder. So anyway, I really do appreciate genuinely each and every one of you all who's already pre-ordered the Thyroid Connection, and I have some exciting giveaways. So to go along with our sleep talk and stress talk, and hi Katrina and Leslie and Clarissa and Allie. So we have some amazing giveaways. One of these is called David Delight. It's a Mind Alive, and I'm going to spend more time during the talk talking about this, but let me just show it to you quickly. And this thing saved me during the stress that I was going through when I was writing the Thyroid Connection, and continues to save me now when I'm having, you know, insomnia or sleepless nights or just a stressful day. So David Delight is donating one of these to us to give away to you guys. So anybody who's already pre-ordered the book will automatically enter to win this. It's a $300 value. It's amazing. And I'm going to demonstrate it a little bit later on in the talk. So hi Kelly, hi Barbara, hi Diana. Yeah, everybody mention where you're from when you're checking in and saying hello, because I love to see the people from all over the place. We have Orlando and Richmond and Cyprus. Wow, it's amazing. And of course, Harlingen, Texas, with Javier's family. So anyway, somebody is going to win this, a $300 value, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you a little bit later. And so if you have already pre-ordered your book, you automatically enter to win. And anybody else who pre-orders their book tonight before midnight will also be entered to win. So good incentive to pre-order your book, and then we will be drawing the name first thing in the morning and announcing that. We also have a donation from Spook Mat. If I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but they're these mats, and I'm going to try to pull it out here, but these are also amazing. They hit acupressure points, and these are super relaxing. So we have 3 of these to give away, and they're $50 value a piece. So here they are, and they're super cute with like prints and stuff on the back. So we have 3 of these to give away, and 1 of the David Delight Mind Alive. So we're going to have more of these to give away down the line as well. But for today, again, anybody who's already pre-ordered the Thyroid Connection will be automatically entered to win, and anybody that orders tonight before midnight will be automatically to win, and then we will announce those tomorrow. So, and then we're doing another giveaway, 2 more giveaways right now on this Facebook Live. Hello, Catherine. Hello, Jen. And hello, Deborah from San Diego, and Darren. So we have 2 other giveaways now. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question, and you guys can put down the answer in the comments, and then we're going to randomly pick a winner. And the first prize that you can win are these tiger nuts. So these, even though they're called tiger nuts, they're actually from a tuber, so they are autoimmune approved, and they can be a great little snack if you're looking for something crunchy. These are taste almost like almond slices, and these taste a little bit like almond nuts. So they're vegan, of course, non-GMO, and gluten-free, and all that stuff that I would advocate. So the first question is, what thyroid condition was I diagnosed with? So if you get the answer right, hello Olga from London, If you get the answer right, wow, we have somebody from Malta. This is amazing. Hi, Anna. Love having people from all around the world. I will say, in order to win one of these, though, you do have to be within the United States because I think mailing these to Malta would, far outweigh the cost of these. But so yeah, go ahead and put down the diagnosis that I had with my thyroid, and we will randomly pick a winner here momentarily, right? And do you want me to move on to the next one? Or okay, and then hold on, I got to reach across the table. 1 second. Oh, they're trying to hand them to me. If you guys are not familiar with kavasa flour, it's kind of amazing that this is making such a comeback, or making a debut in the United States, because this is actually, we used to eat this in the Peace Corps in Paraguay, and that might have been a good question for people. What country was I in? But maybe for another, file that in the bank. That might be another question for another Facebook Live, is where did I serve in the Peace Corps? And the answer is Paraguay. But they use yucca, or mandioca is what they call it, and that is basically flour. So this is also a grain-free flour and autoimmune approved, or the Myers Way approved, for the book. So we are the next question, and is to win 2 bags of this, is what day is the Thyroid Connection book being released? What date? So what date in September? So again, the 2 questions are, and we'll pick somebody here probably mid or towards the end of the Facebook Live, are what thyroid condition did I have, and then what is the date that the Thyroid Connection book will be released. Okay, so don't forget to like and share this with anybody that you know has or suspects that they have a thyroid condition, whether that's Graves', Hashimoto's, thyroid cysts, thyroid nodules, thyroid cancer, or has had their thyroid removed from Graves' or cancer, or someone who suspects that they have a thyroid condition, but their doctor has told them that their labs are normal. Please go ahead and share and like this with anybody that you know. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about stress, sleep, and the Thyroid Connection, and then we, of course, will get to all your questions, and then at the end, we'll do the drawing for the tiger nuts and the kavasa flour. Okay, so stress. Many of you all know that, I literally, Javier and I went through the most stressful time of my life. I get a little teary-eyed just even thinking about it. More stressful than when I was diagnosed with my thyroid condition, and I'm not going to mention it because people are still answering the first question, and even harder than when my mother passed away. So we had a toxic mold exposure and essentially lost everything we owned and moved into an apartment with nothing and was sleeping on the floor, still sleeping on the floor, but was sleeping on the floor on a single mattresses for a couple of months trying to recover from that. And it was extremely stressful, and that was right smack in the middle of writing my book. I had 3 months to write the Thyroid Connection, which is a very short amount of time to write a book and is stressful in and of itself, and then to get sick on top of it, and to go through losing everything and moving and all of that stuff on top of it was super stressful. And so in the Thyroid Connection, I have an entire chapter just dedicated to stress. And we can't get rid of stress, but the things that we can do to reduce stress. And again, I just want to remind you guys, we're living in an apartment and we're kind of in the office area right now. So if you hear some stuff, in the background, we don't have a lot of control, but if we'll try to, have people hold things down if they can. So some of the, let me just back up and, talk about, how does stress create thyroid dysfunction? And first of all, our thyroid is not in isolation. It is a gland that creates hormones, and hey, Carla, and it is interacting constantly with all of our other hormones. So whether that be our blood sugar hormones, our female hormones, or male hormones, our adrenal hormones, sleep hormones, melatonin's a hormone, all of these are interconnected and acting together. And so there's several ways that I think of that stress can totally wreak havoc. And one is that as we are stressed, well, let me back up and say the research really shows that, when we have one big stress or exposure, whether, it's a chemical exposure or stress, we can generally recover from that. I mean, that's kind of how we were designed. When we were hunter-gatherers, we would have the stress of finding food or finding shelter, and then once we found those things, the stressor was over. Now what is happening with us is we are being bombarded with stress all the time, and we're really realizing it's this low-level stress, this chronic stress that is much larger of a problem than kind of one big stressful event. And there's a great book, if you guys aren't familiar with it, called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And I wrote about this in the Autoimmune Solution, and I actually witnessed it. It's about the fact that, you know, a zebra, its stressor is its predator, you know, maybe not finding food and then being eaten by a lion. And in the book, they talk about how zebras, that there was this incident, and I literally witnessed this one time on a safari in Africa, where I was looking at this pack of zebras, and this lion jumped out and attacked the zebra, and, you know, just barely missed it. And the zebra got up, shook it off, and ran off and caught up with all the other zebras. And we don't do that. I mean, I definitely don't do that. I am a fester and a worrier. You can ask my husband. And the unknown is the worst for me. I'd much rather know what I'm dealing with. So until I know, I'm like festering and worrying. So it's this chronic stress that is really, really dangerous to our health. And, you know, we can't always get rid of the stressors, but we can learn to, you know, deal with how we handle them or find ways in which to reset from these stressors. So what we know is this chronic stress over time ends up suppressing our immune system. And then when we have a suppressed immune system, of course, things like, you know, infections can come, and autoimmunity can come. I mean, it's one of the ways in which steroids work. When you have a inflammatory condition, they give you steroids, which is a big dose of basically, you know, kind of adrenaline, and it causes you know, immune system to kick in, and then it ultimately actually suppresses it. It's like why when you are studying for exams and you stay up 3 nights in a row and you're like, I'm heroic, I got A's on all my exams, this is amazing, and then on the way home, you're on the plane and you catch a cold, and by the time you get home for Christmas holidays, you're sick. You had all that adrenaline and all of the you know, hormones and cortisol to keep you awake to study, and then and keep you bolstered up. It was really meant for when you had to run away from a tiger. It gave you all this cortisol and adrenaline to do that. But then over time, what happens is it suppresses the immune system. So there's even studies showing, you know, marathon runners where at the beginning of the race, their white blood cell count was normal, and at the end of the race, their white blood cell count is really suppressed. So that's one way in which it can wreak havoc on us, is that all this cortisol around in your system can eventually suppress your immune system. The way that, the other way that it can create a problem with your thyroid is it binds, or it creates more estrogen. So the more cortisol you have, the more estrogen you're going to have. And then estrogen binds up your thyroid hormone to a protein, and then it becomes unusable. And so you can get essentially like a hypothyroidism from that. And then also what stress can do is create a leaky gut. And then that's really the foundation for a lot of chronic disease, particularly thyroid dysfunction, is this creating a leaky gut. And then of course the things that I talk about in the thyroid connection, you know, then gluten can get in, then Epstein-Barr can get in, Yersinia or Yersina can get in, heavy metals can get into your bloodstream. And then of course that's where our immune system gets overreactive, and through molecular mimicry can eventually attack the thyroid, because the thyroid can look very similar to these molecules. So those are some of the, you know, basic principles, but I think probably rather than understanding the science, I think we all know stress is bad for us, and maybe thinking about some of the ways that we can counteract that stress. And so in the 28-day program in the Thyroid Connection, I have daily practices that I want you to try to do. And again, they're all things that I've found very helpful. And I give you some choices in case one doesn't really resonate with you and another one does, that you don't end up getting stressed about, you know, having to do that particular type of, you know, stress reducing activity. And I kind of break them up into things to try to do daily, and things to do on a weekly basis, and then things to try to do on a monthly basis. So as I mentioned, one of the things that was really helpful for me was this David Delight. I mean, my mind, is racing at all times, sometimes with worry and sometimes with negative thoughts, but a lot of times really with just good thoughts and things of ways that I want to help other people. And I'm always just, my brain is very active about how can I reach more people? How can I, what kind of books can I write? What kind of programs can I create? Because I really don't want people to be in the boat that I was in. And so my mind is just always going, or a patient in the clinic, how can I help them? What's new? What's different? And so what this does, I talk about something called binaural beats in my book, The Thyroid Connection. And that's something super simple you can do. You can get those on iTunes super for free. Basically what this David Delight does is it's called they call it a audio visual entrainment. And so it has this, well, first let me just show it to you. I don't know if you can see it, but it has, obviously the on button, and then let me just turn it on. And then it has these cute little things that you can use this for sleep, which is, you can see it's on that. I use it for sleep a lot. There's one, just to kind of boost your brain waves for happiness. There are ones for meditation. There are ones even for focus, and ones for energy. I never need the focus or energy. I usually need the relax and sleep. So you put it on that, and then and it has two components to it. One is this audio component, which is kind of like binaural beats that get our brain give music in different ears to stimulate our brain into a relaxation state. And so you put these on, and then it also, and I don't always do this part because often it's when I'm trying to sleep, and sometimes the lights will suppress your melatonin. So it's great to do during the day with this, but you put on these glasses with your eyes closed. The first time Javier did it, he's like, I'm gonna have a seizure or throw up, and he was there. I forgot to tell him to close his eyes. It was really pretty cute. So you put these on, and then the lights come on and your eyes are closed, and it's giving signals to your eyes and then in through your ears with the audio and the visual part to really calm. Well, it depends on what setting you're putting it on, but for me, it's usually the meditation or the sleep one. So to calm your brain. And it's really interesting because I find it hard for my mind to race when all of this is going on, when these inputs are going on. And I am a multitasker, if you know anything about me. So I would like get in the sauna and do this while I was in the sauna, or, a lot of the things that I am recommending to you, I would often do kind of two at one time. So I'm actually going to show you what kind of my routine is, and talk about each of these things because I talk about them in the book. And let me also say, short of David Delight giving us one of these, I don't have any stake in any of these companies. These are honestly products that I recommend. I get nothing out of telling you about them. I don't get anything back from it, anything like that. So this is genuine, just stuff that I've found. Of course, simple meditation, prayer, things like that are free and easy. But my mind often won't sit still enough to do that. So that's why something like this is really helpful for me with the David Delight. The other thing that's really been helpful for me is there is an app that you can get for your iPhone, and it's called Heart Math. And this is the cute little symbol right here for Heart Math. And you can see I had all the de-stressing activities. And there is a simple sensor that you can get just off of Amazon, and you plug it into your iPhone, and they have one, whether iPhone 3, 4, 5, 6, who knows what will happen with the 7. And then you put on this earpiece. It's kind of hard to do with my earring on there. But once you put it on there, it starts to sense, and then it gives you self-guided, paced breathing. And what I love about this is because I am a goal-oriented person, it's like stress reduction with a goal. So you can set it for a certain amount of time, you can set it to be easier or harder, and at the end, it kind of keeps track of the varying, of each of your sessions. And you can even submit it online, which I don't do, to kind of compare it to other people's sessions. I don't need to do that because I've looked a few times, and there are people on here that literally all they do all day is this, and I don't have time for that. So but this is a super quick and easy way to really check something called your heart rate variability, which is something that I also talk about in the book. And I'll also give a plug for the Thyroid Connection Summit, which is a free online event that I have coming up October 24th through the 31st. So you can sign up for that. And I interviewed 35 or more experts just throughout the field of health and of course thyroid. And I did a chat with Rob Wolf all about heart rate variability. So you'll want to tune in for that. So speaking of heart rate variability, I will show you another little app that I have on my phone, which is my heart rate variability. Let me get here. So this one, and it's called, what is this one called? I think it's called Elite Heart Rate Variability. That's what it looks like. And what I do is, again, available off of Amazon. You can get this thing called a Polar. I have the 7 version. It's a little strap. You can wear it around while you exercise. You can wear it around all day. I don't use it for that, but people do use it. Heart rate variability, just to go back, is, you know, people think about our heart rate not as static, but that your heart rate is 60 beats per minute. Well, it's not really. Our heart rate varies, and it might be 55 beats one beat and 75 another. And sort of this greater heart rate variability that you have, the more resilient you are to stress, and in some ways the healthier you are. There are a lot of studies showing the lower your heart rate variability, sort of the higher risk of mortality. So what you can do with this, and what I do every morning, is I put this on in the morning, and then I pull up my app, and I do a 2.5 minute just breathing and see, did I, let's see where I was this morning. I'll show you guys. And so I was in 8, so I was right in the green. I don't know if you can see that, but it ranks you of, did you recover from your stress yesterday? And this again can be used for exercise, and a lot of athletes use it. You know, can you work out harder? I just use it, have I recovered from whatever, you know, craziness I was going through the day before. So I love this. This app is free. All the apps that I'm referring to are actually free. Now the products you need to, you know, get, and we're going to have a page up very soon on my website that will be all the resources of the book. So it will be links to all of these, you know, gadgets that I'm talking about. And I just want you to know, like, you definitely do not need to buy any gadget to do the program in the Thyroid Connection. I'm very clear. You do not need any of this stuff. I'm just showing some additional things. I give you many stress relieving activities in the book that are completely free, and you do not need to buy anything. But if you want to buy these things to, you know, track your progress, it's great. Again, for somebody like me who's a very goal-oriented, action-oriented person, I love that there's sort of goal setting that you can do even regarding, you know, stress relief. So, and then this app has a lot more stuff you can do with it, which is to actually do paced breathing. So you could just do this instead of the heart math thing. And then I wanted to show you one more, which is, and there's an app that goes with this as well. It's called Muse. That's this app right here, Muse. And this is kind of like it's kind of like neurofeedback, but in a little meditation headband. And so this is something that you put on like this. I'm hoping nobody's taking screenshots of me here because I know I look amazing. Although I do have an Instagram shot of me with actually a neurofeedback cap on my head. So, which is something else I did during all of this and can be very helpful. So this is a meditation tool, but it has some neurofeedback in it that it's you know, birds sing and stuff when you're getting into a relaxed state, and there's sort of a fuzzy sound when you're not in a relaxed state. So that can be super helpful as well. And then I'll show you guys my fun glasses that you've probably heard me talking about. Now I do have 2 pairs of these, the amber glasses that you can get off of Amazon. I brought the really, really ugly ones so y'all could see those. These are the ones that I wear over my glass. So I wear contacts, but I wear glasses at night instead of my contacts, and then these fit over them and they drive Javier insane. So here they are. Like them? So I feel like I'm my great-grandmother or something, but that amber, I mean, so what happens, you know, back in the day, and I can really testify this from when I was in the Peace Corps, because, you know, they got up by the sunlight and went to bed when the sun went down, and we did have electricity, but I literally had one light bulb hanging from the ceiling in my house. in my little wooden house. And right now, you know, back in the day, that is how we got up with the sun. We spent time outdoors, and then the sun would go down, and, you know, it would get dusk, and maybe read by candlelight or something, and then go to bed. Well, now we have all of this. Not only do we have all this false lighting in our houses, and most of us aren't even getting outside during the day, then we also have all of these blue wavelengths coming through from our iPhones and iPads and computers. And luckily they're kind of catching on, and they've created apps, you know, now with the iPhones and iPads, you can put on the nighttime light, and it has an amber hue, or there's the app Flux that's free. But for those people who don't want to do that or whatever, if you just get a pair of amber glasses, or you can buy amber light bulbs, which we'll have a link to as well. These are just super great, and you can travel with them, and it's really, I can tell a total difference when I don't wear these and prepare myself to go to bed. Usually as the lights are starting to come down, I put those on, and what it's doing is beginning to signal your body that it, you know, time to make melatonin and begin to get ready for bed. So also another plug for the Thyroid Connection Summit is I interviewed Sarah Ballantyne, Paleo Mom. She has a sleep program, and we were talking about amber glasses. She actually has a really nice pair. They were like $100 on Amazon. So I haven't splurged for those yet, but I'm thinking maybe Javier can get me some for Christmas. So apparently they're much cooler looking than the ones I have, and she even wears them out to dinner, which is, you know, fun. I haven't gotten that far. I haven't gone out of the house with mine. I think Javier would really have a fit because he has a fit just in the house. But anyway, so real quick before I get to your questions, just wanted to remind everybody to like and share this with anybody that has thyroid dysfunction or you think might have thyroid dysfunction. Hi, Sophia. So good to see you on here. Please like and share this with anybody that you know has thyroid dysfunction or thinks they may have thyroid dysfunction. Be sure to please pre-order your copy of the Thyroid Connection. We have 5 days to go before it comes out, and once it's out, all of the pre-order gifts that are currently free, the $10 gift card off my website and all the other downloadable stuff will be gone. And anybody who's already pre-ordered it will enter to win a David Delight, a $300 value. And I mean, again, I don't get anything out of this. I just swear by this thing. A $300 value. And anybody who pre-orders their book tonight or before midnight tonight will automatically enter to win that. Also, we're giving away 3 spook pads, which are wonderful. That's another thing that I add into my routine as well. Sometimes lay on that and get some acupressure points going for relaxation. So 3 of those will also be given away. And then we had 2 questions that I asked earlier. Should we, hold on, they're signaling me. Okay, so our winner of the Tiger Nuts giveaway is Helga Sandholt. She also has Graves. Sorry to hear that, Helga. If you have not been treated for your Graves, I would highly recommend you pick up the Thyroid Connection and start taking the thyroid calming herbs that I recommend in the book and follow the program. And then our second winner of the two 2-pound bags of Kavasa flour is Sherry Craft. And that was, when is the book being released? And that is September 27th. Okay, so congratulations to Helga and to Sherry. And what we need you to do is to email us at community at dramymyers.com, and we need you to do that in the next 48 hours with your address, and we will mail that out to you. Okay, sorry, I guess I didn't give out my right email address here, community at amymyersmd.com. Thankfully, I have Jordan over there who's always on top of it, keeping me straight here. So y'all have no idea how many interviews I have done in the last week. It's I'm a little bit cuckoo right now. So, and if you please sign up for our newsletter list, because on Friday we're going to send out a list of all those podcasts. Many of them have been released last week and this week, and more to come next week. So every Friday we've been just doing a highlight of all of them. And of course, if you're following me on social media, we post them all there as well. And you know what I would say is, you might think like, wow, I've been on all these interviews and people are asking me the same questions over and over. And I can honestly tell you, thank goodness, every interview has been completely different. I mean, there's always, tell me about the reference ranges and tell me what test to order, but short of literally those two questions and tell me your story, those three questions, every interview has been completely different. So I really would recommend that you, tune into as many as you can, because you'll probably learn something different on each one of them. So thankfully it was not repeating over and over again. I think a lot of people have covered thyroid, so they were, happy to have a fresh take on it. Okay, so we're gonna hop into your questions here in just 1 second. And before I do, I just wanted to show you a copy of the Thyroid Connection book. You may not be able to tell here, but it actually is beautiful. It's a nice matte finish, and I'm sure you don't really care about that, but it really did kind of take my breath away, because I was not expecting it to look like this. I was expecting it to be glossy, so it was like a really nice, beautiful surprise. But what you'll probably most enjoy is how very thick it is. And hopefully that does not scare anybody off. I actually was doing a podcast today that will come out probably the following week, and they were saying, yeah, that it was really thick, but that the information is so easily digestible, and praised me for being a good writer, which I certainly appreciated, but how easily digestible it was and how actually a quick read it is. And I think that that's something that, I do well, which is to give you enough info to know that, what's important, and, how to distill it down quickly for you, and then really head right on to the solutions. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we are going to jump into my answering your questions. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being told we have another giveaway question. What's the giveaway this time?
It's a week's worth of juices from My Organic Juice.
Wow, you guys are getting some really good. When they told me all the giveaways that we have between now and the book comes out, and even the week after, I was like, could you call all those companies and ask them to send me one of each of those, please? Okay, so we have another giveaway, I was just informed, and it is a week's worth of juice, fresh cold pressed juice from My Organic Juice. So they are organic juices, cold pressed juices, a week's worth of juices. So I actually really did tell them to call the company back and ask them if they could send me one too, because I want all this yummy stuff. So the question is, okay. The question is, how do you win the wellness getaway that I am hosting here November 4th? My staff has to keep me straight. So how do you win the wellness getaway, which is, there are going to be 5 people who can win the wellness getaway. Okay, she's okay. So what do you have to do to enter to win the wellness and pampering getaway from me? So that is, all right, I'm already seeing some great answers here. I hope all of you people did that thing that you need to do. I'm gonna disclose something to you, that not as many people did that thing as many as we thought. So you actually have a really good chance of winning. So your odds are pretty good. So do that thing, okay? And then we have another giveaway, which is 5 people who share this Facebook Live are going to enter to win, or 5 people are going to get a coupon that will get them a free pack of Sete coconut flour tortillas. And these things are also amazing. Javier is completely addicted to them. They're really catching on, which I love. It's a local Austin company, family owned. So I love supporting local companies, family owned companies. And I love that their products are really catching on. I mean, it used to be we'd have to go to Whole Foods and literally buy so many of them and stack them in the freezer because they wouldn't be there very often. And now they've changed their packaging, and I'm hearing all kinds of people in the wellness community talking about it. So it's these are amazing. So 5 people are going to get a coupon for a free pack of the coconut flour tortillas from Sete. And 1 person is going to win a week's worth of My Organic Juice by answering the question, what do they have to do to win the Wellness and Pampering Getaway with me? Okay, so let's get on. Okay, Tracy, what are your thoughts on hydrocortisone, for low cortisol? Well, I think that there are people who have true adrenal dysfunction in the way of like Addison's disease, and those people would potentially, they obviously, it's just like me needing supplemental thyroid hormone. My thyroid is no longer there, or other people who are in need of supplemental thyroid hormone because so much damage has been done to their thyroid, or an insulin dependent diabetic who had type 1 diabetes, autoimmune, and can't produce insulin. Somebody who's not producing enough in their adrenal glands because they have Addison's, of course, that's life-saving for them. Then there's kind of, and I do talk about, I didn't really bring that up in the stress discussion, but adrenal fatigue that most conventional doctors don't really recognize. I mean, it's a spectrum, and let me move my hands in, but one in the spectrum is no adrenal dysfunction. I highly doubt there are many people walking around in this world today as adults that have no adrenal dysfunction whatsoever. And then there's Addison's disease, and then there's everybody in between, and that's, some form of adrenal dysfunction or adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue and adrenal dysfunction and thyroid dysfunction go hand in hand. Now in my clinic, I really don't have unless they have Addison's, anybody on cortisol or on any type of supplemental cortisone, because I really want to find out why their adrenals are out of whack in the first place and address the root cause. So of course you need to talk to your doctor and see what the situation is with you, but I really try to avoid that in my clinic and figure out the root cause. Then are thyroid issues more common in women? Matt, yes, they are, but it does not mean that if you are a man that you can't have thyroid issues. It's actually one of the first reasons that I talk about the conventional medicine is failing us regarding thyroid dysfunction, is that they're not even checking it in a lot of people, particularly men. So it is 8 times more common in women than it is in men, but it does not mean that as a man you cannot have thyroid dysfunction. I have plenty of male patients who have hypothyroidism, thyroid nodules, thyroid cysts, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's. So if you are having any of the symptoms that I write about in the book and you're a man, I would definitely recommend that you still get your thyroid checked and, of course, have all the labs. Okay, so then I have Rachel. Can I take the thyroid support kit if I haven't been tested for thyroid problems, but I'm certain that I do, besides other health issues because of autoimmune? Will the program be helpful without testing? Rachel, nobody's asked me that question yet, and that's a really great question. So there's nothing in my program that would harm you if you didn't have thyroid dysfunction. So there's a dietary, let's kind of look at the program. So the program is a dietary-based program that is similar to an autoimmune paleo protocol. And what we did was really focus on things that harm the thyroid and make sure we got those out of the diet, and then things that support thyroid function. So that would be good for anybody and not going to be harmful to anybody if they don't have thyroid dysfunction. I typically in the program have people doing, again, the stress reduction techniques. And so we are all stressed out humans. And so that's going to be helpful. And there's no downside to that either. And then I have some supplements that go with the program, which is a multivitamin that I formulated for those with thyroid dysfunction or to prevent thyroid dysfunction. So it's just a really good, hey, Nicholas Vera, hola, ¿cómo está? Nicholas he lives in Buenos Aires, but he was one of the villagers in the village that I lived in the Peace Corps. So, so taking the multivitamin is just a really good preventative thing to do. I mean, I think our diet is, and our nutrients and our soil is very depleted, and most people can benefit from a multivitamin. And then the other aspects are also, probiotic, fish oils, and vitamin D, and that's really what I recommend for everybody. So Rachel, that was a great question. I mean, I think you're going to get more out of the program if you can get your doctor to test. And again, if your doctor won't test for you, then we have partnered with My Labs for Life, and you can go to their website and get the testing that I recommend. Again, I don't get anything out of that. And I'd like to just make a comment, everybody. I really appreciate y'all's enthusiasm on these Facebook Lives. But my clinic is not the place to call if you have a question. They have been inundated with calls, and unfortunately, certainly if you want to make an appointment, love that phone call. But my nursing staff is not available to answer questions for people who are not patients of the clinic. So where you can go for questions is my free online community, and that's amymyersmd.com/community. And there are people all over the world doing the program. My wellness coaches are on there. My registered dietitians are on there. And occasionally I'm on there answering questions as well. So that is the place to go. I don't, mean to discourage you all. Please, if you'd like to make an appointment, we'd love that phone call. But my clinic staff has their hands full with our current patients. So, and then legally, we're just not able to answer any personal medical questions unless you are a patient of our clinic. Okay. So appreciate y'all respecting that. And please do join our free online community. That is exactly what it's for. So anyway, so Rachel, that was a great question. I do think that people will get more out of the program if they are getting lab testing, because you can be doing the diet and all the stuff, but if you do need supplemental thyroid hormone and you're not getting it, or you're not getting the right dose, it's like it's just going to help you out if you do need it. But that is a great question, and anybody can do this program. Men, women, old, young, kids. There's not anything on here that would be harmful, and I'm not taking out foods that you're not getting replacements for with even more potentially nutrient dense foods. Okay, and many of us have a iodine deficiency because of the amount of bromides and halides and chloride, bromide, and fluoride that is in the environment displacing iodine. So many people could use a little boost in their thyroid hormone production. Okay, Rita, what labs should the doctor do to check adrenal levels? So that is another great question, Rita. And the best way to test your adrenal levels or your adrenal function is a cortisol saliva test, and to have that done at about 4 or 5 different times throughout the day to really assess. The blood cortisol levels are not nearly as sensitive, and neither is the 24-hour urine. You can get those to get some understanding, but the blood, if you go and you hate needles and you have a burst of cortisol as soon as they stick in that needle, that's going to be elevated, and it's not nearly as sensitive as the saliva. So and that's most conventional doctors do not do the saliva. That would be a functional medicine physician. So in my book, The Thyroid Connection, I have a quiz for you to take to see if you have some adrenal dysfunction, and you can score that and see if you do. And then of course there's suggestions in the book of what to do about that, and also some herbs, some what are called adaptogenic herbs that I recommend for those with adrenal dysfunction as well in the book. Okay, so don't forget to like and share this, and pre-order your book before September 27th. And am I going to announce the winners at the end of the new? Yeah. Okay. Normally we have a little debriefing right before the Facebook Live, but today we were all scrambling so much we didn't have our debriefing. So sorry, I'm winging it over here. Okay, Anne, my labs are all normal, but I'm tired all the time and have joint pain. I've fallen off the wagon regarding my diet, therefore getting glutened. How long should it take me to rid the symptoms again while on the protocol? Another really good question. So everybody is completely different. You know, some people find it's just literally a day or two back on the program and they're already either well or well on their way. And some people, you know, it can take weeks to months. So everybody's an individual, but I think the sooner you can get back on the program, the better. And just want to say to everybody, I love that Anne, you know, was brave enough to tell us that, right? So, and I always tell my patients, I want to know, come back. We don't ever want anybody, you know, failing or giving up. And so we want to know, we want to meet you where you are. We want to help you. So Anne, you know, really appreciate you sharing that with us and would invite you to join the community, because there are probably other people who, you know, we all have difficult times in our lives. And, you know, I try to tell people, when you have a difficult time in your life, that's the time to really connect here. Best, you know, do your best, try not to fall off the wagon, because those are the times that we need it all the more. When we're going through stressful times, changes, things like that, you know, we now have this new concept of like total body burden, whether it's toxins or stress or infections or all of it together. And when we're going through a stressful time or we're sick and that burden, that toxic burden or infection burden or stress burden has increased, the last thing we need to do is bombard our system with more burdens like gluten and things like that. So I know it's super hard, because when we're having a hard time, we really want those comfort foods. And, you know, maybe the thing to do in those circumstances are to, you know, if you were someone doing a totally paleo autoimmune protocol and not eating any grains, rather than completely falling off the wagon and doing a gluten-filled pizza, maybe doing a gluten-free pizza, or, you know, gluten-free crackers that have some grain in it but aren't all the way off the wagon. So that's always helpful, because it can take, just let me tell you this, which I don't think I've shared yet on a Facebook Live, but regarding the thyroid, what we do know about thyroid, particularly if you have antibodies to your thyroid, that one exposure to gluten can cause those antibodies to rise for the next 3 months. So that means you get 4 times a year that you can splurge on some gluten and you didn't give your immune system a break. So I'd really, I'm not trying to be hard on anybody, but to the best of your ability, particularly if you have thyroid and particularly if it's autoimmune thyroid, really do your best not to eat gluten and not to eat dairy. And if you need those comfort foods and you're not normally eating grain-based foods, to maybe, you know, splurge and have a gluten-free treat or something, if that's what you need to do. Because we're all human and we all have bad times and we all want a cookie sometimes. So that's just the way it goes. Not during your 28 days on the program, though. So that all applies after you're off the program, you're feeling better, and you have a little wiggle room in your health to be able to do stuff like that. Okay, Lou Jean. I like your name, Lou Jean. Lugean. I like that. What do you think about fluoride treatments at the dentist? I do not recommend them. I, again, am doing a online summit October 25th through the 31st, and I interviewed Dr. Stuart Dunley, who's one of the world-renowned biological dentists, and we're so lucky to have him right down the street in Marble Falls here, and he's my personal dentist. And I would invite you to tune in to the summit, and certainly to listen to his lecture. And you might want to, you know, revisit the dentist and see about maybe finding a dentist that doesn't use fluoride. But in my talking with him, I'm not a dentist, but in my talking with him, there's no research really to support that helping with preventing cavities or even strengthening your teeth. So we get enough fluoride, which actually is toxic sludge, the stuff that they add to the water. Did a great interview with Mike Adams from Natural News as well on the summit, and we talked all about fluoride in the water as well. Okay, Barbara, does low body temperature 95.5 indicate anything about the thyroid treatment working or not? I'm on 125 micrograms of levothyroxine. I think it's probably maybe levothyroxine, basically Synthroid. Yeah. So in fact, I'm going to be doing a PBS special on the thyroid connection, and we were trying to think of like free giveaways to give away for the PBS, and we were thinking about doing a basal body temperature thermometer, because it's an excellent way to know. And what I would say is you are probably not converting your T4 into T3 very well, and you are on a supplemental form of thyroid hormone that is just T4. So you probably need some T3 in there. I mean, there are other reasons that you could have a low body temperature, but thyroid is one of the biggest ones that I think about. And particularly if you're having any additional Lou Jean's telling me that she used to live in Georgia. That was a Georgia name, but she lives in Texas now. Well, maybe you'll change it to, I don't know what the Texas version is, maybe LO or LOU, and who knows. Anyway, off tangent here. So I would think that you probably need some T3, and pick up a copy of the Thyroid Connection, because I talk all about this. And what you're taking is T4, and you're probably not converting very well into T3. And particularly if you're having other thyroid symptoms, that would really, really lean me towards you thinking that you needed more than that Synthroid or whatever you're on. Emily, exercise, what's best? I was running half marathons when my body transitioned from hypothyroidism to Hashimoto's. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I do talk about exercise in the book, and I talk about, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, some forms of exercise like half marathons, Ironman, CrossFit, particularly for certain women, are just not the right thing, and it stresses their immune system, it stresses their adrenals. It is a stressor, and they don't recover. And I see a lot of women like you, Emily. I don't know how old you are, but I see a lot of young women in my practice that have been doing things like half marathons or marathons, and they have, you know, female hormones almost in menopause, and their adrenals are shot, and then of course their thyroid is going to be shot. So the best form of exercise, it sounds like potentially you're in a place where you need to rest and recover, and things maybe that would work better for you are things like yoga that would be restorative for you, and not opposed to jogging or a little running, but you know, 13 miles is probably a little too much. You might want to just, again, focused on, so I see Emily's 36, so you're still really pretty young. I see women even much younger, in their teens and 20s, with already burned out, you know, hormones and stuff. It can be recovered. I mean, you'll likely need supplemental thyroid hormone, but your adrenals can recover, and your female hormones should recover. And I do think that the Thyroid Connection program will be perfect for you, and you'll need to sort out, you know, kind of what you can tolerate in terms of exercise, but I would maybe focus on some restorative type exercises and many of the relaxation techniques that I was talking about earlier. So don't forget to like and share this. Pre-order your book before September 27th. And we have some incredible giveaways. If you pre-order your book before midnight tonight, you'll enter to win a free David Delight, a $300 value. And I've already demonstrated it and talked about it. So at the end of this, if you're just joining, you can see what that's all about. And we also have 3 people who will be winning this $50 value of the spook mat. So our next question is from Julie. Does Hashimoto's cause anxiety? And that is another great question, because I was just being interviewed for the New York Post the other day for an article. I don't know when it will come out, but all about that, just thyroid and anxiety. And so I was doing some additional research surrounding that, and there actually, I think, were 2 or 3 articles. There are lots of articles, but there are 2 or 3 that literally just came out last month, August 2016, showing that those people with thyroid antibodies, which is an indicator of Hashimoto's, that alone was a risk factor for anxiety. So even if they didn't actually have any dysfunction in their thyroid yet, even if they were not on supplemental thyroid hormone, just the antibodies itself caused a propensity towards anxiety. And the thought was that there was inflammation going on in cytokines, which are an inflammatory response to the autoimmunity going on in the brain, and that is what was causing anxiety. Of course, there's all other reasons that it can cause anxiety as well, but that was pretty interesting, several interesting studies surrounding that. And, you know, just so you know, there's sort of a, you know, list for things for Hashimoto's symptoms, and a list for symptoms for Graves' or overactive thyroid. And usually underactive is more depression rather than anxiety, and overactive is more anxiety versus depression. But as I talk about in the book is that there are many overlapping symptoms of both of them. So you could have, I've had people come into my clinic before and have symptoms almost of like hyperthyroidism, but their TSH was actually really high, meaning that they were hypothyroid. So it doesn't always fit perfectly into a single category. There's lots of crossover between the two lists of symptoms. Okay, so Nikki, I feel great most of the time, but when my cycle comes around, I feel exhausted again and bloat very badly. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's 5 years ago. I do not take anything. What can I do? That sounds like really some imbalances in your progesterone and your estrogen. You might be something called estrogen dominant, and that might have led to your Hashimoto's, that it's binding up some of your thyroid hormone. But if you've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I'm wondering why you might not be on supplemental thyroid hormone. Maybe there hasn't been enough damage to your thyroid yet, or perhaps your labs are normal, but they are not optimal. So I would definitely pick up a copy of the Thyroid Connection and take a look at what I recommend as optimal lab reference ranges and make sure they're doing all of the labs that I recommend. And you might want to get your progesterone and estrogen checked as well. I typically do progesterone on day 21 and estrogen around day 3 and see what those ratios look like, because it sounds like those could be off, and whether those are off from stress, toxins, whole host of things. So the program in the book, inflammation, bloating in the gut, you might have yeast, candida. So, I think if you go through the Thyroid Connection program, it'll be really helpful for you. Okay, and then I have a last question, because we are rounding out. Is amazing how quickly all this time goes. So I have a last question, and then I'm going to pick our winners. So before I get to those two things, don't forget to like and share this. And don't forget to pre-order your book, The Thyroid Connection, from any online retailer. If you have already pre-ordered, I very, very much appreciate it. And you will automatically be entered to win the David Delight, a $300 value, and 3 of the spunk mats that are $50 value each. And if you pre-order before midnight tonight, you will also automatically be entered, and we will announce those winners tomorrow. We're going to be having various giveaways throughout the week. So, Tuesday's a big day for us. So really appreciate those pre-orders, and even going into your local bookstore the week of. So, and don't forget that I have the Thyroid Connection Summit coming up October 25th through 31st. It's a free online event. And also, please, unless you want to make an appointment, don't call the clinic with questions. You are welcome to join our free online community, which is amymyersmd.com/community. Okay, so our last question here is Nia, I believe is how you pronounce it. How do you increase your conversion from T3 from T4? So how do you increase your conversion from T4 to, I'm imagining, free T3? And there's several nutrients that need to be involved for that. So you need zinc and selenium. You need then vitamin A and vitamin D and fish oils to get into the cell. Of course, I talk all about this in the book. Depends if you are high stress, that can prevent the conversion. Heavy metals can prevent that conversion. Stress, heavy metals, nutrient deficiencies, like I mentioned, those are probably the 3 biggest ones. And then, of course, if you're somebody on supplemental thyroid hormone and you have the ability to take something like Armour or compounded T3 over just a Synthroid, that obviously will help your conversion, or give you some T3 if you're having a hard time with that conversion. So here we go, the winners with this prize that I'm very jealous about. So maybe my organic juice is listening and they'll send me one too. But you are going to get a week's worth of juices from My Organic Juice. And that is Ainsley Laura. And so don't forget, if I call your name, it means that you need to email us at community at amymyersmd.com in the next 24 hours. I think I said 48 on the last one, but everybody needs to do it within the next 24 hours to claim your prize. If you don't do that, then we are going to move on to the next person, okay? And then if you like and share this, the people who share this video, 5 people who share the video will also get a coupon for the Sete coconut flour tortillas. And let me back up and say the question that we asked was, how do you win the weekend or the Pamper Wellness Day with me? How do 5 people win that? And that is by buying 5 books or more. So would really super appreciate anybody who wants to give these away as Christmas presents, give them away to friends. I mean, there are 27 million Americans who have thyroid dysfunction. I guarantee you know somebody else who needs this book. So if you buy 5 copies, you automatically enter to win that. Also, you can submit your story to enter to win. You don't have to buy the 5 copies to enter to win. So you can submit your story as well, and we'll pick 5 winners to come on November 4th to come hang out with me. We have a full day planned. It is going to be amazing. And one person will get everything, airfare, hotel, everything paid for. The 4 other people will get a discount at the hotel and everything paid for while they're here. So I look forward to hanging out with 5 of you all. Please order 5 books or more, and you'll enter to win that. So don't forget, anybody who won anything today, that email us at community@amymyersmd.com in the next 24 hours. Give us your mailing address, name and mailing address. Best if you give us your phone number as well, just because if we have any problems, or your email address at least. I guess we'll have that because you'll have emailed us, just so that we can get in touch with you in case we need anything. And the people who have won something today, they are writing those down for me, so I will say those again in just 1 second. And don't forget to pre-order your book by midnight tonight, and you'll win a $300, enter to win a $300 David Delight, and 3 people will get a $50 spunk mat. So our 3 winners of the tiger nuts, the kavasa flour, and the juice are Ainsley Lore, Helga. Y'all couldn't have just given me Mary Smith or something? I mean, really. Helga Sandholt and Sherry Kraft. Sorry, I am, not the best here. So, Ainsley Lore, Helga Sandholt, and Sherry Kraft. Okay? So, thanks so much, everybody. And don't forget, so this is our last live at 3 p.m. Facebook for the week. What is going to happen now, and I have goosebumps, is that this bad boy, or big beauty, however you want to call it, is going to be released on September 27th. And every day next week I'll be going live on Facebook, and we're going to have some great things going on next week as well. So thanks, everybody. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great night. Bye.